look, I've been around a long time, and banking is a series of sort of crises. Actually, some are bigger, some are smaller, some are global, some are local, but that's sort of what we do for a living. What we've seen throughout the world is that there's sort of a playbook, and actually this one, from an economic perspective, is actually very, very different. And so normally these big crises sort of affect the big end of town, and we see large corporates failing, etc. Actually, in this case, it's not at all. In fact, there's very few large corporates that seem to be in stress. It's really at the SME space, as you rightly point out. Why? Well, many numbers of them were told they had to shut their businesses down overnight, and it was through no fault of their own. They hadn't done anything wrong. They haven't overgeared. They didn't have bad businesses. They were just shut down. There was sort of prohibition. And so that's going to cause all sorts of issues. And the question here is, how able are those businesses able to survive and get through this and able to restart? Now, we've got a couple of real benefits here that I think we've never seen before. One, and certainly in our lifetimes, we've never had a crisis at a time of kind of zero interest rates. So time is free. So giving customers more time to get back on their feet from a bank's perspective is almost free, as opposed to time chipping away, charging interest. So that's one huge benefit that I think we underestimated. And secondly, to your point about money supply, this huge wall of money that has been thrown at the problem, the system was already liquid. And then we've had this massive central bank intervention and governments who, through grants and tax breaks and all sorts of things, putting money. Just to give you a stat, which I think is really interesting and instructive, here in Australia, about 20% of small businesses asked for a loan deferral, which the banks readily gave. Of those, in ANZ's case, if we look at those and look at their cash balances, the ones that asked for a deferral, 2/3 of them had more money in their bank account at the end of the deferral than they did at the beginning. So that tells you, despite them reaching out for help, they may not have had a lot of revenue, but they've had a lot of support, and that cash has actually supported them. So they're actually in a really good shape to be able to kick off again. So look, I think it's still a long way to go before we see. We think the hard times are going to come probably in the second quarter of next year, particularly in the southern hemisphere as we sort of get through the summer.